Khuddaka Nikaya, the Minor Discourses, the Theragāthā, verses of the Arahant, Bhikkhus. Tikanipāta, Book of the Three Verses. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Verse 3.1 Aṅgaṇikabhāradvāja Thera. By going about trying to become purified through wrong and futile methods, I would sit in the wilderness and tend to what I called the sacred fire. Being completely ignorant of what truly purifies the person, allowing him to overcome death, I went on stupidly exposing my flesh to blazing flames. But this very happiness I now experience is the result of pursuing the path of happiness itself. See how amazing this Dhamma is, unmistakably genuine and effective in its excellence. For I have now even attained to the three knowledges, and thereby completely fulfilled my teacher's instructions to me. You see, in the past I was recognized as being related to Brahma, known as a Brahmin, but now I truly stand as a noble Brahmin in the truest sense of the word, fully anointed in the supramundane, possessor of the three knowledges. I have become wisdom itself while serving the Master. These were the verses spoken by the Venerable Aṅgaṇikabhāradvāja. Verse 3.2 Paccaya Thera. It is now 5 days since I went forth as a noble disciple, suffering as I did for not having achieved my heart's goal yet. So it was that upon entering my room I decided then and there, I will neither eat nor drink again. I will not leave my room, nor will I allow myself to lie on my side and sleep until I've fully pulled out the arrow of craving from the heart. See my drive and perseverance in never relenting as I train myself in this way. The three knowledges are now mine, and the Buddha's dispensation is finally fulfilled. These were the verses spoken by the Venerable Paccaya. Verse 3.3 Bākula Thera. He who postpones what must be done sooner by leaving it for some unknown future has already forfeited and deprived himself from being truly happy, and as a result is tormented by bitter regrets. One should do what one has said they would do, instead of being full of talk with no action. But intelligent people recognize such a character who says one thing but does something else entirely. Ah, the bliss of Nibbana! How delightful it is indeed, taught by the Blessed One, the fully self-awakened Buddha. It's truly sorrowless, stainless, and absolute safety, where suffering is truly obliterated forever. These were the verses spoken by the Venerable Bākula. Verse 3.4. Dhaniya Thera. If you truly want to experience happiness, dwelling in comfort, while living the life of a recluse, then you must stop complaining about and scorning the Sangha's robes you wear, nor treat the food or drinks you obtain with contempt. If you truly want to experience happiness, dwelling in comfort, while living the life of a recluse, then you must turn the Sangha's dwelling place into your very own home, just like a snake does when finding itself a mouse's hole, never wanting to leave again. If you truly want to experience happiness, dwelling in comfort, while living the life of a recluse, then be content with whatever nourishment and support the day may bring for your sustenance. And while being thus appreciative, continue exerting yourself according to the Dhamma. These were the verses spoken by the Venerable Dhaniya. Verse 3.5. Mātaṅgaputta Thera. Ah, it's too cold for me, or too hot, or it's way too late for me, they keep saying. But to think like this, then it indeed will soon become too late, when one's youth and opportunities in life are completely and really wasted yet again. But those who imagine the cold or heat as no more than sharp blades of grass to walk through, and thus making the most out of the life they have by not wasting any time, they're the ones whose happiness is fast assured. For with my open chest I'll cross through the fields of the blade-like Dabha and Kusa grass, as I push through the sharp Munja, Usira, and Potakila thrown at me, and seek for myself the seclusion which the heart desperately needs for it to blossom and grow. These were the verses spoken by the Venerable Mātaṅgaputta. Verse 3.6. Khujjasobhita Thera. The one who stands at the entrance to the cave is one of those recluses from Paṭaliputta, learned in the Dhamma, and always speaking eloquently from the heart. He is none other than that old hunchback, Khujjasobhita himself. There is a recluse standing at the entrance to the cave, one of those recluses from Paṭaliputta, learned in the Dhamma, and always speaking eloquently from the heart. He is advanced in years, having flown through the sky and landed at the door of the cave. Having fought the good battle and sacrificed what needed to be sacrificed, victory is won. But it is only through living the holy life proper that true happiness is achieved in life. These were the verses spoken by the Venerable Khujjasobhita. Verse 3.7. Vāraṇa Thera. Whoever here among human beings brings pain and suffering unto other beings, removes any chances for himself to taste happiness, safety, or any sort of comfort, both in this life and in the ones to follow. However, any human being who looks upon others with tender, loving care and compassion, such a person surely continues emitting and generating an abundance of blessings for himself. Thus, one must train himself properly on the basis of the well-spoken guidance received, as he attends closely to the needs of the holy and wise ones, while looking for ways to seclude himself, diligently working to collect and settle the heart. These were the verses spoken by the Venerable Vāraṇa. Verse 3.8 Passika Thera. Even though stemming from a faithless family, I was the only one possessing faith and wisdom. So I'm quite glad that at least the trust and confidence I have in my heart for the Dhamma, along with the virtue and character it helped chisel, has already been a great help for my family. With compassion, I shook up my relatives as to the reality surrounding them, inciting urgency. Then, being thus encouraged, with tenderness and care, my dear ones and family open-handedly engaged in generosity towards the bhikkhus, lovingly tending to their needs. Then, when these loved ones of mine died, they reappeared as devas, reborn into 3 heavenly realms of delight. And there, my brothers, as well as my mother herself, are now enjoying their heart's desires. These were the verses spoken by the Venerable Passika. Verse 3.9 Yasoja Thera. Behold, here's a man whose limbs are like the knotted joints of a kala plant, with veins visibly pulsating. Being slender, he is moderate in consuming his daily food. Such a person indeed is undeterred in his fearless drive. When touched by the pesky flies and mosquitoes in the vast wilderness, away from any sort of physical comfort, one withstands all manner of distress, just like a mighty elephant leading an entire army to battle, undaunted. Truly, when being alone, one is like a supreme Brahma. When one is accompanied by another, then they both are like mere devas. When there's 3 of you, then it's more like a village. But when there's more than 3 of you together, then you're simply part of a crazy mob. These were the verses spoken by the Venerable Yasoja. Verse 3.10 Sāṭimattiya Thera. Previously, you had so much faith and trust in me, but today it's all gone, I see. Surely the confidence and feelings of trust you showed me were yours to give in the first place. But do know this, I haven't done anything wrong here. Truly, it's such a fickle thing, the faith and confidence displayed by lay people. This I now know. For while they become emotionally moved, seemingly full of love and care one moment, yet They turn on you at the drop of a hat and become strangely cold in the next. So why would any sage waste his time on such affairs? The sage has his food cooked and prepared, a little of it here, a little of it there. Obtaining my food from not just one family, I don't mind walking from one place to the next. My legs are strong after all, and I could use the exercise. These were the verses spoken by the Venerable Sāṭimattiya. Verse 3.11 Upāli Thera. He who, with faith and confidence at heart, willfully goes forth and leaves the world behind, being still fresh and new on this path, should only associate with true friends, who are tireless in their training, as they resolutely strive while living a pure life. He who, with faith and confidence at heart, willfully goes forth and leaves the world behind, being still fresh and new on this path, should stay close to the Sangha, where he can become wise while training in the Bhikkhu's code of discipline. He who, with faith and confidence at heart, willfully goes forth and leaves the world behind, being still fresh and new on this path, must skillfully know what is appropriate and what is not, in order to go on wandering and living his life unperturbed by things unimportant. These were the verses spoken by the Venerable Upāli. Verse 3.12 Uttarapāla Thera. Well, I thought I was wise, knowledgeable, and able to decipher the deep meaning behind words. But I was easily toppled and fell off, an easy prey to the 5 chords of sensual pleasure, the master charmers and deluding masters in existence. Yet, even though I was caught and trapped by Mara, shot by his poisonous arrow, I still was able to cut myself loose and free myself from the snare of the king of death. Now, having fully eliminated the 5 chords of sensual pleasure and gone beyond them, all attachment to rebirth is now removed, and rebirth is completely ended. For there's no more future re-becoming left anywhere for me. These were the verses spoken by the Venerable Uttarapāla. Verse 3.13 Abhibhūta Thera. Listen to me now, O kinsman, you who've come here to share your concerns. I will now teach you the Dhamma. For truly, it's painful to keep coming back to birth and face suffering again and again. Stir yourselves into action and just give up your attachment to things you cherish. And by immersing yourselves in the teachings of the Buddha, in no time you will completely dismantle the armies of death, like an elephant destroys a hut of reeds. For whoever diligently dedicates himself to living according to this Dhamma and discipline automatically releases himself from the endless cycles of rebirth, and thus puts a final end to suffering once and for all. These were the verses spoken by the Venerable Abhibhūta. Verse 3.14 Gotama Thera. his second. Roaming from life to life, I landed in the miserable lower realms, finding myself reborn in the hells and the dismal world of anguished ghosts repeatedly, not to mention hopelessly stuck and suffering in the animal realm for a terribly long time. Once in a while, I would find myself gaining rebirth as a human, and only rarely, once in a long while, I had the opportunity to be reborn as a deva in the heavenly realms, with the form and formless realms too, reappearing as a percipient and neither percipient being. I saw and experienced firsthand how all these realms were empty and without any substance, utterly meaningless, unreliable, always moving and never remaining the same. But when I finally understood how I was behind it all, only then I experienced true peace. These were the verses spoken by the Venerable Gotama, his second. Verse 3.15 Hārita Thera, his second. If you push aside for later that which should have been done earlier, then you simply deprive yourself from experiencing happiness sooner. As a result, you'll end up full of regrets in your unhappy state. Speak only about the things you're certain you'll do, not those that you won't end up doing at all. For those with experience can easily spot the ones with no action who are just talk and not much else, whose behavior never matches their words. Ah, how wonderful it is, Nibbana Supreme, taught by the self-awakened Buddha. Here, there's no more sorrow or grief, no stains or dirt left, nothing but complete safety, where suffering has come to its final end and ceased for good. These were the verses spoken by the Venerable Hārita, his second. Verse 3.16 Vimala Thera, his second. Ridding yourself from evil friends and companions. Only choose the very best of beings as your friends and companions. Then just heed their advice as you pursue genuinely true and reliable happiness. Just like grabbing onto a small driftwood floating in the wide open sea, one will simply drown. Similarly, even if living a wholesome and blameless life, if you rely on an unmotivated and indolent companion lacking effort, you'll only sink and perish. So, seek out and attend to those wise ones who avoid the noisy crowd, meditating in seclusion, always determined with strong effort, who resolutely strive on. These were the verses spoken by the Venerable Vimala, his second. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.